Well, hello there. Welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. In my kitchen, my new kitchen. I'm Christel Crawford. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. And this show is called the Christel Crawford Show because I couldn't think of anything better to call it when I first started that. But this show is all about Access Consciousness tools around different topics to empower you to have a better, easier life. So, hey everybody. Hi. Hi Christiane. Hi Linnea. Hi Adele. All right, I have to start out this episode by saying I'm a little bit matter of fact today. I'm a little bit on fire, a little bit of matter of fact. So if I come across as kind of direct, is that any different than any other day? I'm not really sure. Hi Julie. Hi Christiane. I called this week's episode Recovering from Procrastination. And I have to tell you that I had a really hard time titling this episode this week. I actually procrastinated doing this episode for a full 24 hours. What's up, Michael? Dobrata. I love it. Hi, Linnea. So are you guys ready for just like a straight shooting, no bullshit talk about recovering from procrastination and being proactive? Because I don't think I can deliver anything else today. You guys ready? First of all, welcome to my new house. For those of you guys that can't see this, that are listening in the future, I just moved this weekend. I'm living in London, Ontario now with this incredible man. I'm really happy. We have this beautiful space that probably someday we're gonna give you a tour of, but we're still furnishing it. So just give me a second and then I'll take you on a tour, but welcome. So called this week's episode Recovering from Procrastination. Now, I thought it was appropriate that I had a hard time naming this show and choosing the title for it based on the title. And I've got this call starting on Friday called Moving from Reactive to Proactive. I don't know, it's very clever. And I'll make sure you get the link. It's christeljoycrawford.com/proactive. It's a one-time call. But as I was I'm always looking at what I can create next for you guys. You know, what conversations we could have that are going to unlock more of where we're functioning from and give us more choice and all that stuff. And I personally have been really choosing to be 1,000% more proactive. But I don't see everybody choosing that. And I was looking at this topic of like what it is, what are all the possible things that could be going on when we are choosing to procrastinate rather than create. Oh, could you guys do me a favor? If you know anybody that needs a conversation about procrastination, will you share this? I need your help. My team of mega fans, I need you. What's going on when we procrastinate? The first thing that I want to talk about with this is that there are multiple things that can be going on. And I'm going to talk about the multiple things so that you can sort of ask some questions and get a sense of what's going on for you. Because we don't want to come to any conclusions because that doesn't help anything. What I want to empower you to do is get more curious about what's going on and not assume you have a problem. So the first thing that you need to know when you're procrastinating is that it's not a problem. So what I would invite you to do is destroy and uncreate everywhere you've decided that you procrastinating anything is the problem you have to fix. And everything that is right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you're new to Access Consciousness, that crazy statement just is crazy and works. And you just need to go to theclearingstatement.com to get more information on it. But every time you decide something's a problem and you should be doing something else, you are sticking that thing in place every single time. So first things first is destroying and uncreating everywhere you've decided that you putting things off is a problem. Now, if putting things off can come from all kinds of things and places, okay? Putting things off can come from awareness of, hey, is it actually the right time for this? Maybe not. Putting things off, the only way you decide you're putting something off is if you also decide that you should be doing it. So should is a projection and an expectation of what you think you should be doing that you're not doing. Like, for example, I thought I should have had this show together last night. That was on my calendar to do it last night. This show happens every week, And I just could not get to the title of it till this morning. And it turns out I required to do all these other things first to get more information about where I wanted to take us this week. But I didn't know that at the beginning, and I was just sort of making myself wrong for not having this done. Okay, so and that's kind of what we do, is like we make ourselves wrong for the things we think we should be doing. And we then say, could you help me with my procrastination problem? Well, we've made a bunch of conclusions in between there and there that may or may not actually be accurate. So you gotta, one of the things about consciousness and awareness is you start to get that the more conclusions that you go to about anything, but most especially about you, the more you limit what you can choose. The more you judge you for what you're choosing, the more you limit what you can actually choose. So moving from being reactive, and what it's interesting that even to me, that procrastination and being reactive are sort of the same thing. They don't seem like the same thing. Most of the time when we talked about being reactive, we think of like, I'm reacting to my mom, or I'm reacting to my dad, or I'm reacting to my spouse, or I'm reacting to the traffic. Like that's okay, Tomas, no worries. Hi, Karen. That's most of the time how we talk about reaction. But procrastination is a reaction to something you think you should be doing. Procrastination is a reaction or a resistance to something you think you should be doing. And so anytime you make something into a have to, I have to do this, I should do this, I must do this, I need to do this, you have to then, of necessity, react and resist. That's what happens. So you're no longer in any kind of proactive activity. You're just like reacting with what we've called procrastination. But hey, Brad. Hey, Deb. So procrastination is a reaction. Okay, cool. Procrastination can also be awareness of something. But when you don't acknowledge that you're aware, you think you're reacting and you're resisting to something, and you're not acknowledging what's really going on. And so you get yourself into this mind fuck. So you're so welcome, Saskia. So I just want to invite you first to really, really, really take every single place where you've decided that you're fucked up, that you have a problem, that you should be doing things, and that you're not doing them. And everywhere you're using your life and what it is you think you should be doing with your life to judge you, destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay? Now, that one clearing is not going to do the thing forever. But literally, this process moving yourself, I have so many things I want to say at the same time. I would say for me, the last 6 to 7 years have been about moving myself from using the tools of access to curtail my judgment of me, moving from using the tools to get me out of judgment into creating for me the space where I can be proactive with my life and my business, has probably been the Titanic that I've undertaken, the Titanic shift, okay? And that's the thing I find more than anything else with these tools of access consciousness, is that the conversation is really, what do you want to create? It isn't, how can I get myself out of this limitation, which is, why do I procrastinate? That why do I procrastinate is, how do I get myself out of this limitation? That's not actually what the tools of access consciousness are for. Tools of access consciousness are to empower you to choose what really works for you. And so how are you using the tools? And two, if you're currently, let's say you're currently procrastinating writing, you're currently procrastinating working out, you're currently procrastinating having that conversation you don't want to have, you're currently procrastinating looking at your finances, you're currently procrastinating putting something out into the world, doesn't matter what it is. Are you willing to get bold enough and brave enough to get present enough with you to find out what's really going on? Procrastination is your decision to not be aware of what you're aware of. You could be aware that it's not time. You could be aware of something else that is required. You could be aware. Is it possible that you're not fucked up, but that you're aware? And then the question just becomes, well, what are you aware of? And what choices would you like to begin to make to have, is what you're choosing right now working for you? And what choices would you like to begin to make to have it work for you? Hi, amen. Hi, Marianella. Nice to see you guys. So now, I know this isn't necessarily like the lightest, funnest topic, right? Sometimes I pick these topics that are just like a kick in the gut. And that's part of the reason I'm doing a call about it, because I really do want you to bring your questions so that you can ask me and so we can actually dive into your thing. But without that call, you've got to start to look at if you want to continue to judge yourself based on what you think you should be doing, or if you want to have something different as your life. We have a new choice in every single minuscule moment of our day. Like all morning this morning, I was working. I work a lot in my business. I love it. And, all morning actually from, God, I don't even know, from yesterday at like 10 a.m. until today at like 2 p.m. I've been in this like 24-hour period of just like, where are we going next? What do I want to have next? What am I creating next? Where's this business going? Where do I want to lead? What conversations do I want to be having? And because all of those questions inform what I talk to you guys about on a weekly basis. But for me to be in that role, I've got to be willing to know that I'm a leader. I've got to be willing to know that I am going somewhere, and you can choose to come or be inspired by it or not. I've got to be willing to know that nobody else is going to be telling me what the trends are. I'm going to be setting them. And that's a whole different universe of choice than, oh, fuck, my bank account is at 0. What am I going to create? Right? And you guys are free to ask questions. So let me dive into some of your comments here. Something different now. Thanks, says Adele. Gigi, sometimes I've wondered if that's actually my superpower. However, I'm aware that I procrastinate to then actually have the problem be there, and then I resolve it. And I say I hate it, but do I really? Yeah, cool. That's a great comment. One of the clearings you can run when you notice that the gift of awareness is that you begin to notice what you're doing. That's the gift, because until you notice what you're doing, you can't make another choice. So when you notice that you are creating problems in order to solve them, you can run a clearing like this if you want to change it. What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the problem solver I truly be for all eternity? And everything that doesn't allow that to show up times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because what's happening here in this crazy cycle that we're talking about on this video, about 18 different ways, is we're deciding something, then we're resisting what we've decided, then we're judging ourselves for resisting, and then we're stuck. That's what's happening. So that's a pretty crazy cycle, because you can't think your way out of that. You can't logic your way out of that. The only thing you can do is choose your way out of that. And one of the choices you have is to be in allowance of you. And allowance is just wherever, that's all just interesting. It's all just interesting that I'm doing it. I had to practice allowance big time during the move this past weekend. And I succeeded some of the time, and I did not succeed some of the time. But so one of the ways to get to allowance is to become willing to be whatever it is you think you shouldn't be. So when you become willing to be the problem solver you truly be, when you become willing to be the problem creator you truly be, when you become willing to be the procrastinator you truly be, sure, run that one. And you run that over and over and over, what that does is that shaves off the unconsciousness and the judgment that you have about it. And then you start to get more access to just a space of allowance where, yeah, I like to create problems. Okay. And it's in that moment where you'll begin to ask yourself a different question, like, well, is that working for me? And would I like to have another choice? And I got called out on this big time by Gary Douglas. I forget which class it was. It was a couple years ago now. And mine was a little different. I had gone to a bunch of classes. I had come back home, and I was so different, and I felt like I didn't know what to create or how to create, and I barely made it to the Certified Facilitator class that I needed to go to get recertified. And so I'm sitting in class, and I'm asking him about this new space of creation, and I'm like, how do you how do you do this? Because like everything that I was used to functioning from, used to kicking off from in order to create, all of that was gone. I was space and consciousness and no solidity. It's a very bizarre thing as you use these tools. And I said, you know, I was asking him about this, like, well, what do you do? And he just looked sweetly at me and he's like, honey, you're just not creating your life. And I was like, And it was then that I really realized that I'd been before I'd been creating all these problems to feel like I had a problem so that I could feel like I was creating my life. But in reality, I wasn't creating my life. I was just going around like troubleshooting and putting out fires. And that's what being reactive or procrastination actually creates. Well, you get to see what it creates in your life. But in my life, when I procrastinate something I know I need to deal with, or I put it off, or I react by resisting it, something bigger and more troublesome gets created usually. Or I just end up not handling something that if I had handled it right then would have been more ease, or, you know. And so I had to really look at that and go, hi, Maristella. I just have to look at it and go, is this the way I want to live? And if I were really, truly creating my life, what would that be like? And I realized then that I was unwilling at that point to make a wrong choice, to make a bad choice, to make a choice. Because when you're creating, you're creating. There's nothing to when you start to paint and you put your brush on a canvas, no matter if you've taken painting classes and you've been to museums and you've studied art, hi Kath, it doesn't matter. In that moment, when you put a brush to a canvas and you put your first color down, it is what it is. That color stays there until you put something over it or whatever. And you have to, minuscule moment by minuscule moment, make choices about what you're gonna do with that paint. And if you're gonna take up new paint, and if you're gonna do anything, you know? And so that is living. Being proactive in the creation of your life is putting fucking paintbrush to blank canvas and choosing what you're gonna do with that stuff. And so in truth, there's no fucking it up, but you have to be willing to fuck it up from your point of view in order to keep painting. Because if you do not, I've done this. You'll sit there in front of that blank canvas with a brush full of paint and worry about what is gonna show up when you put that brush down, and quite certain that when you put it down, it's going to be wrong, you know? And that's living. And so when you're avoiding something, what are you avoiding? You know, when you're procrastinating something, if the procrastination is avoidance, what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding dealing with it? Are you avoiding taking up the challenge of who you truly are? Are you avoiding dealing with something, or are you avoiding a potency and a strength and an ability? Are you avoiding what you think is wrong with you, or are you really, really avoiding what could be really great about you? And this is what I'm discovering, that the more willing I am to be proactive in the creation of, you know, this business, these topics, these classes, what I am in the world, my finances, my systems to support awareness of where I am in the world, you know, all these things that you need to put in place to really have a clear understanding of living and in life. The more I get that, you know, there's nobody to show me this. It's just me making things up so that my life works the way that I want it to. So, God, that's the only question. Is your life working the way you want it to? Is money working the way that you want it to? Do you get that you're the source of whatever shows up in your life? Do you really get that? And I mean, are you using that? So some of you are like, yeah, I really get it. And Jesus, all I create is shit. You know, are you using that to judge you? That doesn't create more. That's another choice you have available. But if you start to recognize, wow, I'm the source of everything that shows up in my life. Like, what would I like to have as my life? What would it take to be willing to live the energy of what I'd like my life to be so that it could show up for me in totality? God, and everything I'm doing to absolutely refuse it and reject it, I destroy and uncreate that. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, online, shorts, boys and beyonds. So, the biggest key to recovering from procrastination is getting that, one, it's not a problem. You're not wrong. Two, just really getting present with you. Get present with you in that thing. What is it you're actually avoiding? I'm really enjoying adding this word actually to things because it's getting me to get present with stuff. Sometimes you can use the word actually and judge stuff, but for me it's like, yeah, what am I actually doing here? And I have to do this with myself all the time, guys. This is something that I am constantly facing in different parts of my life, finances. Sometimes I have to get really real with myself and go, hey, are you ever going to deal with this? And sometimes I have to trick myself into actually making a choice. There's a lot of actually in this conversation. Like, if I'm procrastinating something and I'm refusing to deal with it, I will trick myself and I'll go, hey, if you were just going to choose something here, what would you choose? But again, even that requires you to kind of turn around and face the thing. What's the thing? What are the things that you're not facing? What are they? Are you not facing being as great as you are? Are you not facing having ease with your finances? Are you not facing a thriving business? Are you not facing the greatness of you? What are you not facing? All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory is a reality when you are willing to be present with everything and have no point of view about it. So the journey becomes choosing no point of view. How do you cultivate the choice for no point of view and cultivate the joy of choosing? Not because it's right or wrong, but just because you fucking can. Because I fucking can be successful, I will be. Because I fucking can reach millions of people, I am in the process of creating that, because I fucking can. Not because it's right or wrong, or I should, or someone told me I'd be great one day, or I had a prophecy spoken over me, or it's in my destiny, just because I can. But that same choice is, just because I can, I'm not paying my taxes, and just because I can, I'm not doing my books, and just because I can, why? Because I can. Because I can't avoid these things, so I am. And so, then what do you do with yourself? Because there you are, avoiding shit, right? Well, I had to start looking at the things I was avoiding as choices I was making. And I have to start asking myself a different question. Like, okay, I can keep avoiding this. Is it going to create more if I avoid it? Yes or no? No. Is it going to create more if I deal with it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. What does dealing with it look like? And where can I start? And do I need to add anybody to my life, to my business, to my world to support me in dealing with it? And that's how things begin to change. You're the source of everything. Do you know that? Do you know that you're the source of judging you and you're the source of creating you? Do you know that you probably have no idea what it is to create you? I fucking didn't. I'm still getting it. And it's the thing about creating you is it's in every microsecond. Every little tiny choice that you make to either go into your head or really demand that you use interesting point of view. I have this point of view. For every thought, every feeling, every emotion, everything that comes up. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. What would I like to choose now? All those little choices are the creation of more consciousness. Consciousness is just what is. It's the inclusion of everything. And when you've decided that you're procrastinating something, what you're excluding is your awareness. When you go into reaction to something, what you're excluding is awareness and choice. It's you that you're throwing under the bus when you react. It feels different, sort of, like in our heads, we've got it twisted around, like when I react to something or I resist to something, I'm choosing for me. But in reality, the person you're excluding is you. Total receiving, total allowance for you would include all these things, all these choices, because you'd have no judgment about any of them. You wouldn't have any judgment about, the fact that you're not going to the gym. You wouldn't have no judgment about how you're eating. You'd have no judgment about how you're doing your finances, no judgment about any of it. You would just be looking at a landscape of choices going, okay, well, some of these are the way that I'd like to live and some of these not so much. And then you could begin creating something different. But what do you want to have as your life? I think I'm going to be saying that for the next 80 years. I'm going to pickle myself somewhere around in 80 years. What do you want to have as your life? Do you want to have a space where you're constantly judging yourself against what you think you should be doing? Or do you want to have a life where you're free to be you? You're free to choose, you're free to not choose, you're free to choose or not choose. Do you want to give yourself that much freedom? And if you were going to be proactive, active participant in the creation of something else, an active participant, not just reacting with a tool when your mom gets under your skin, but like actively participating in the creation of a different reality for yourself, what would that be like? Active participation in the creation of a different reality for you and your business, what would that be like? Active participation in the creation of a totally different financial reality for you, what would that be like? That's beyond procrastination, because procrastination is judgment. That's just a different choice. So what different choice can you make today to participate actively in the creation of a different reality for you right away? And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all in shorts, boys and beyonds. So, I'm gonna go. If you loved this, if this tortured you, make sure your best friends get it. If you'd share it with them, I'd be so grateful. If you want to come on a call with me about this, we're doing it Friday. If you're watching this in the future, that's not relevant, but you can go to christeljoycrawford.com/proactive and come join me for one call where you can ask me your questions and we can actually have a conversation and some facilitation around your facet of this. And the thing is, all of you guys are keys and locks to different facets of consciousness that we can all have access to when you're willing to have freedom. So you're warmly invited. And one more thing, I'm going to be live in the Awareness Challenge group right after this. So you can just come join me over there if you're live with me on Facebook right now. And if you're in the future, just come find us on Facebook, the Awareness Challenge, How Aware Are You? We do monthly 30-day challenges in there with one Access Consciousness tool, and they are life-changing. So please share this. Come meet me in the group, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.